It's great to be here.
And it is a pleasure. So, we want to speak to you today about how you have built such an empire. There are millions of influencers and there are billions of posts every single day. How do we get our message heard?
You have to have something important to say. It's got to mean something to you. You have to have emotional commitment behind it. I mean, how you cut through is by speaking truth. And the truth that you will speak is something that cuts to you at the core that then you feel people need to know. I think a lot of people are it might just be sharing other people's quotes and everything else. But even this, like, why should somebody listen to this podcast versus some other podcast? There's tons of podcasts. Why this one? Well, you guys are going to ask amazing questions that other people don't ask, that are based off of your truth that you genuinely care about. And that's what makes it different, because it's your perspective versus just asking the same questions everybody else asks.
In the age of social media now, I think people's attention has become a massive commodity. So my question is, are there any essential components you use to capture somebody's attention through a social media post rather than them just seeing it as a post, liking and moving on?
I think attention has always been the asset. It's just social media is where people are putting their attention. So that's where you need to play. If you're a brand, if you're an entrepreneur, if you have a message that needs to get out, I think people are willing to listen to you. I think people blame attention span, but meanwhile, you'll sit through a 3.5-hour Star Wars movie. You know, it's not that the length is a problem. It's that there's a lot of options, and if it's not good from the gate, you're going to lose people because you have options. So if you're scrolling through your Instagram, you need to hit me immediately. If it's a video, the first 5 seconds matter, right? Most people's first 5 seconds of a video sound something like this. Hey guys, welcome back. It's me. I hope you're having it. Gone. Right? Gone. You need to lead with a powerful opinion. You're not making content for your friends. If you want to grow your impact, you need to make content for people who don't know you. And so, welcome back. This is my first time seeing you, right? If you're growing, 80% of the people who see my YouTube channel are not subscribers. They're new people. So you're not welcoming them back. You're welcome for the first time. And so you need to hit me with a powerful opinion, hit me with the truth, make me want to pay attention. But this has always been the game, like newspapers. You need to have a story on the front line, right? The front page. It has to be an attention-grabbing headline that pulls people in. It's always been the game, but just people aren't applying the tactics that have always worked to social media. So the first 5 seconds matter. The first sentence of your post matters. Hit me with a powerful opinion that means something.
Do we need to be brave with our message? Does social media favor risk-taking, like you just talked about with it?
The world favors risk-taking. Otherwise, what? You're a vanilla, boring, pared-down version of yourself? Like, who wants to follow that? I want someone who's going to tell me the truth and help me.
So, you mentioned earlier about maybe just sharing quotes of other people, and it got me wondering, how personal should we make our content when we're thinking about our personal brand? Should we post about ourselves and our own ideas more than people we admire? And does creating content surrounding somebody else dampen our own personal brand in any way?
Well, you don't have a personal brand if you're not sharing personal things. That's the definition of a personal brand. So how personal do you get? The more personal you get, the more people will connect to you. So I believe that your purpose comes from your pain. That the whatever you struggle with the most in life, your purpose then is to help other people not struggle through that same pain as much as you did. And that will never get old. You'll love doing that for life. I love helping entrepreneurs because I struggled so much as an entrepreneur. I don't want other people to struggle as much as I did. Not just financially, just emotionally. I don't want people to struggle as much. So I put out content that makes people believe. And I share my story, and I come on shows like this to help spread the message, because nobody wants to learn from the perfect person. It's in the chinks in your armor that you're afraid to share. That's where people will actually connect to you and feel like, oh, this person is an actual human being and I can learn from them because they're like me. Because the biggest thing, if you're a personal brand and you want to move people along, you want to influence them, somebody's going to look at you, you're giving advice, you're telling them what to do. They're going to look at you and say, well, easy for that person. You don't understand what I'm going through. You don't understand what my situation is. It's great that you're there now, but you don't know where I am. Meanwhile, you know exactly where they are. You came from a worse situation than they did. But if you're not willing to share it, then you don't make the connection, and then they don't listen to your advice. There has to be an emotional connection to the audience before they will ever listen to the logical arguments that you have for them.
If we're just starting out in a particular niche, say we're just starting out in fitness, or we're starting out in coaching, and we don't have that necessary experience behind us, but we're learning our skills, we're developing, we've got a big drive. How can we get people to buy into our message on social media?
Then they buy into the journey that you're on. Don't talk about stuff that you don't know about, because people have a very high BS filter. If you don't know what you're talking about, you're going to be exposed super quick, right? So you only talk about what you know. Now, one, you may know some things. So if you're starting on a fitness journey, do you know more than you did 5 years ago? If that's yes, then there's a lot of people who are like who you were 5 years ago. You speak to them. And you're never done. Like, you're growing, you're learning, you're always trying to improve and get better and get more knowledge. And the more you learn, the more you can share and help and give back. And in your process of learning, you take me on your journey. If you're brand new, like you knew zero about fitness, nothing about health, you're 400 pounds, you know nothing. You're like, I'm tired of this life. I need to make a change. Or you're starting a podcast, you know nothing about it, but like, we want to start a podcast. Then you take people on the journey, because just the willingness to try is an inspiration. Just understanding what your motives is and what your steps are, and seeing you get up and doing the thing, even if you're failing, the willingness to try will be motivation for somebody else to say, if they can try it, maybe I can try too. And that's the start of your personal brand.
A common gripe or a common excuse I've heard through talking to listeners is when they're trying to build up a social media following and they don't have, a prior name or a prior success or nothing to really build off, and they don't have any, the typical person doesn't have a pre-existing reason to follow you.
Mm-hmm.
What are the secrets to building up a social media following when it really is, you don't have that name, you don't have that success story?
It may not be a success story, but it's your story. I need to be able to see myself in your story and say, this person is like me, and I want to learn from them. And so that's where you need to take me on the journey. So if you don't have, it comes down to, can you provide valuable content, right? People will follow you because they feel something and they learn something when they follow you. When somebody listens to your podcast, they've learned something. If they haven't learned something or they feel something, then they're not going to listen again. So that's always your goal. Now, the more experience you have in being able to give advice because you've done some things, then more you give better advice, people will follow for the utility of it. But again, if you don't have any experience, you've never done it before, then it's the emotions that I get by looking at your stuff that makes me feel like I could do it too. So again, just a willingness to try. Say, I have no, like, if you're getting, I pull up my phone because I thought we're doing video. If you are just getting started and you're going to make your first Instagram post, don't come on and try to make all these claims about how you're an expert and how great you are and boast when you don't have anything. It's a house of cards. Instead, you hold up your phone and say, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done Instagram before. I'm actually really afraid just to do this. I've been holding the phone for 40 minutes and I haven't pressed record, and this is it. Now I just said I need to start. And I have a goal. I want to try to see if I can make a full-time thing out of this, because I hate my job. I hate my life. And I want to see if this could be my next thing. So I'm going to document my journey. And every day I'm going to make a new video and teach you what I learned and hopefully inspire you to go and chase down your dreams too. Post. Right? You know nothing, but you're learning and you're being vulnerable and you're telling me what you're scared of, and then you're telling me what you're trying to do. And somebody who's trying to do the same thing will be interested in that. And the fact that you get up every day and start doing it will say, well, maybe I'm going to do it too. What's my excuse? This person knows nothing and they're doing it, so I can go do it too. You're giving them the value, you're giving them the hope and the belief that they can do it too.
There's a quote I love, and it says, good content is its own SEO. So do you believe that good content promotes itself, or should influencers, people looking to grow their own brands, consider ads?
Oh, I wouldn't see it as an either or. I see ads as gasoline on the fire. So if you're doing well and the content's going, you have great content, people can share it, right? I mean, people are going to listen to this episode. Whoever's listening, hello, thank you for your audio ship. I love it. They could share it. Some people will and some people won't. The ones who don't, it's not that they hate the content. It just wasn't so powerful that they have to go off and share it with somebody. And that should always be your goal. You always want to make a show or create a piece of content that is going to move people emotionally, that then they want to share. It's never been easier to share content, right? There's all these social media networks that are clicks away, that are easy for people to share if they liked it. So the default should be, how do I make better content that moves people so that they want to share it? They have to share it. It's the best thing they've seen all day. That being said, if the content is doing well, you can throw gasoline on top of it. You have a little fire, you throw gasoline and it explodes it up. There's no reason why you couldn't do advertising on top of it. You just need to figure out what your business model is going to be. So how are you going to, if you're spending money, how are you going to make money from it back? Is your goal just to gain followers, or are you trying to sell a course, or you have a coaching service or a product that you're trying to get out there? I'm always scared of spending money until I'm making money. So yes, you could dump a bunch of ad dollars into something, but is it going to lead to the result that will help you drive your business forward or not?
Is there a case of producing sort of interactive content? Because I saw a post you put on your Instagram the other day, and it was something like, pick your starting five. You've got $15. Pick one from each category. And that is the type of content that generates comments, which I imagine generates, a wider audience. Is that the type of content you should be aiming to make, where it encourages comments and activity?
I think engaging your audience is always a good strategy. I think, at the end of the show, you can ask people, what did they learn, or what's the first action that they're going to take? Some mediums are easier than others. Like podcast is hard because there's no built-in communication. But Instagram, YouTube, most of the other platforms is a lot easier, right? It's built in. They can leave a comment right down below. Whether you're just doing it either or, like which quote do you need most today, or who do you agree with more, this person versus this person, or pick your starting five, some kind of game that you can include in there. Or if it's just something fun, like what's your favorite flavor of ice cream, and people get into the comments and talk to each other about it. It's community. It's not just a one-way discussion where you are talking to them. It's community where if people can feel that they're part of something, right? I call my community Believe Nation. So they're Believe Nation. We 2 million strong on YouTube and however many across all the other platforms. They can come and there's a place where they can connect with like-minded people. And for a lot of people, even listeners of your show, they want freedom, right? They want freedom. There's a lot of people who, when they go back home to their friends and their family and the people around them, their friends are telling them, you can't have freedom. What are you talking about? This is stupid. You can't be your own boss. You can't set your own rules. You need to go work at some crappy job. That's a big portion of America and Europe. I know you guys are based in the UK. That's a big portion of the world, just settling for the status quo. And so then they listen to your show, and then there's hope. There's a little bit of belief that, this is possible. Like other people are doing it. Why can't I? And so to then create a community where people can meet other people, somebody in the UK can connect with somebody in where I'm from, Toronto, Canada, and form a relationship and help boost each other. That interaction means something to people because they're not getting that sense of community from their friends and family back home.
Ivan, you are no doubt one of the biggest self-made influencers probably on the planet, definitely that I see today. Let's imagine that you are a shark on Shark Tank,
Okay.
and someone comes in and they're showing you different social media profiles, what mistakes would someone have to be making for you to just put your foot down straight away and say, I am not investing?
It's interesting because I don't think that I would make a judgment call based off of what they're putting on social media. Um, I mean, I think that the easiest default, if I looked at their social media, if I love the person, but I went to their social media, what would I have to see on it for me to say no? It would have to be something just attacking people, something racist, something sexist, something that is against the human spirit. If I saw that, I don't care how great an opportunity you have, I'm out.
We recently spoke to Kevin Kelly on the show, and he talked about the power of having true fans. And what I wanted to ask you, especially with the way I feel when I look at Believe Nation, is it more important for you to convert a follower to a fan, or more of a family community feel?
Interesting. I don't know that I think that way. I I I I want to see it as a family, I guess. It's not so much about me. I mean, yes, I'm creating the content. I'm the leader of it, but it's much more about spreading the message. And when people can connect with each other, even if I never see them again, but I know that they form relationships, that makes me feel amazing. I just came back last weekend from Dallas doing an event with Tony Robbins. And every time I travel, I like doing a little meetup for whoever's in the area. So we were in Richardson, Texas, suburb of Dallas. We had, I don't know, 25 people show up at a hotel lobby to meet me who are fans of the channel. And I spoke to them for an hour and a half or so before I went to the airport. And Q&A, how can I help? What do you guys got? And I may never go to Richardson, Texas again. I don't know. But they form connections, and they know now somebody else who is a fan of the channel. They see other entrepreneurs who are trying to do their thing. They're around optimistic, positive people. And some of them then go on to form relationships, whether that's a formal business relationship, business partners, or just having somebody else that you can connect with who is of the same mindset as you, I think is one of the lasting things that I want to leave, much more than you're a fan of Evan Carmichael.
Amazing. So, do you think that it's more important to have a niche type where you know exactly who your avatar is, who your main person that would be reading your posts are? Or do you think it's a case of just documenting your story, which may not be as specific to that niche?
I think it's the same thing. Like, I think that your avatar is the person you used to be. You've decided to then take this new journey. You're going on a quest. You're making a podcast. You're launching a YouTube channel. You're writing a book. You're quitting your job, whatever. Your avatar is a person who was afraid to do that, who wanted to do that, but let fear stop them. They were scared. And now you're going back and you're helping them. And then that's step one on your staircase. And your goal is to climb the staircase forever. You don't want to ever stop climbing, because then you hate your life. You want to grow forever. So you're climbing the staircase ad infinitum. But every time you take a step, you then reach back and pull somebody else up to your step, to your level. Humans are built to serve. You want, it's hardwired into us. You want to help. And so who can you help? Well, it's the people who are going along the same journey as you. So I can help. I mean, my one word is believe. It's my most important core value. I could believe in anybody, and I do. But the people who I love the most are entrepreneurs who struggled just like I struggled. They're facing the same problems that I'm facing. I resonate, even though like I've sold my business and had success and have a team of 20 something people now, and all that stuff is great. I still resonate way more with the startup entrepreneur who is struggling to get their thing going off than my entrepreneur friends who have tons of money and made it big. Like I just like being, I don't know, I resonate more just being on the street than being in the fancy hotels, because that's where my pain point comes from. And those are the people who I want to help forever. And as I learn more, I can help more.
I'd love to get your take on this, because I think there are a lot of conflicting arguments especially from the high social media influencers. So when I think of someone like Gary Vee, talks about maybe not worrying too much about the quality and posting more, just post, 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 post. And I want to know, where do you stand on high quality versus daily quantity in terms of content?
So one, I think the quantity leads to the quality. I think the more you do, the better you get. If you're doing a podcast once a month, you're just never going to get good at the skill. Michael Jordan didn't practice playing basketball once a month. So how do you get good at it? You practice. The quantity leads to the quality. The more you do, the better you get. In terms of pumping out daily content, I would say you need to understand what your genius is. What is your Michael Jordan level talent? Because I think most people spend time on the wrong thing. So thought leaders, I see this a lot. So you're a thought leader, you're an expert. You can teach people how to do something, right? You've been through trials and tribulations. You know how to fix this problem. You're going to help people do it. And you're going to make a video that you want to be 10 minutes. So you're going to record for 20 because you're going to make some mistakes. And then you spend the next 5 hours editing that video. That's, in my view, wrong. You're spending time on the wrong thing. Your version of quality is production quality, not quality of your argument, not quality of the thought. If you're a thought leader, what matters is to make me think like you think. You're a thought leader. I need that you see the world differently. I need you to make me think like you think. Having fancy words fly across the screen isn't really going to help it all that much. And so I would say you want to practice spending 5 hours making a 10-minute video and 20 minutes editing it, because your goal is to be able to get up and speak. When you get on stage and do live events, when you get on the radio station or TV stations and get pulled in, there's no edits. You need to train this communication skill. And so I think most people are training the wrong thing, and they're frustrated that they're not getting success because they're trying to put out a one high quality, in air quotes, piece of content per week, but the quality of the thought is just okay. The quality of production is what they're focused on, and that's the wrong thing in my mind. I would much rather you just pull out your phone and teach me something. Speak truth with emotion and commitment into the phone. And a 10-minute video, you want to teach yourself to be able to make it in 10 minutes without editing. And then you can post daily with a lot less struggle.
We're in this generation, anxiety, depression, low self-esteem. It's all heavily linked to social media. How can we use social media as a tool rather than it using us?
You need to decide to kick yourself forward instead of down. I think social media is amazing. I think social media pushes people. It pushes people. It gives you a kick. You just have to decide, is it a kick down, meaning you suck and I can't do this and I'm too overweight and I'm not successful and I want the jet, or does it kick you forward as to this is what's possible? I look at Les Brown. Young Les Brown is my hero from a speaker perspective, and I love it. Like, young Les Brown is fire. And I look at that and I don't say, wow, I could never be that. I could never be young Les Brown. I look at that and say, that's what's possible. That's what's humanly possible. It's amazing. I think we've always been in this comparison culture. It's just now you're comparing yourself to the nation or the globe instead of just your friends and family and people closest to you. So what I would do is I would find people who are doing amazing things that I want to be like, and I would follow them, and that's what I would consume, and use their ambition and their drive to pull me up. I think the biggest problem is people are their biggest critics, which is great. I think you should be your biggest critic. I think you need to be harder on yourself than anybody else. You need to be your biggest critic. It's amazing. At the same time, though, you need to couple it with you being your biggest fan. And I think that's what's missing. We're really hard on ourselves, but we don't bet on ourselves enough. We don't think we're awesome. And if you're hard on yourself without the foundation level of thinking that you're great, then that leads to depression, anxiety, unhappiness.
One thing our listeners love is practicality and things that they can take away and use today. So, maybe a bit of a hard question, and I know it's not too applicable to you now because you have that fan base, but coming up, were there any tips and tricks in terms of, times a day you were posting specific hashtags? Were there any sort of social media hacks that really helped you?
That doesn't really make a difference. Time of day doesn't make a difference. Hashtag is almost nothing. YouTube is 0. Instagram does a little bit, but no hashtag is going to save you if the content is crap. The best thing that you can do, 80% of winning on social media is consistent quality content, right? Consistent quality. If you're posting every day and it's good, you're going to win. The last 20% are different hacks. So the problem is people rely on the hacks. Like, hey, I did all these hacks, it didn't work. Yeah, because the content sucked and you're not doing it consistently, right? But if you're looking at hacks, let's start with YouTube. YouTube, I would say a huge hack is making sure that you have consistent thumbnails. You know what an Evan Carmichael thumbnail looks like. What does your thumbnail look like? I want consistency so that when your videos show up down the side, they watch one video and then they see your other ones down the side as well, and they know to click on it because it looks consistent. Your game is suggested views, not search views. People think of YouTube as a search engine. It is, but that's not how you win. You win from suggested videos, and you need to rank against your own videos first before you rank against somebody else's. And you do that by having consistent thumbnails as one tip. For Instagram, right now, I would say making sure you're doing IGTV. Instagram's promoting IGTV a lot more than regular videos in the feed. And so you need to have, especially if you're a thought leader, you have opinions, ideas, you should be making videos and posting them on IGTV. And all of this may change in 6 months. And the hacks are important, but again, it's only that 20% final stuff. 80% is still quality, consistent content.
Evan, it's been an